away. Watch my story of what these men did to me.
Hey everyone. Before we jump into part 2 of this amazing journey, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? Just drop your country and the time you're reading this in the comments below. It's so cool to see how far this story is spreading around the world. Just a quick reminder. This is a true story, not made up. What you're reading really happened to a real person. We'll be sharing this lengthy tale piece by piece, so don't miss out on any part. By sharing this story, you could help someone avoid similar situations. These things are happening in real life, and being aware is super important for prevention. Thanks for being part of this journey with us. Your support means the world. Now let's dive into part 2 of Amaka's story. The day before my planned escape, everything fell apart. The men walked in with one of their guards, the very one who had promised to help me escape. My heart sank immediately when I saw them together. Something was clearly wrong. The guard wouldn't look at me, his face pale with fear. One of the men caught me watching and let out a cold, cruel laugh. So, out of everyone here, you really think you can plan an escape? Do you even know who we are? He sneered, stepping closer. No one gets away from the dogs. And even if you do, we'll always find you. Always. In that instant, the awful truth hit me. They had suspected the guard, and he had confessed everything about helping me. My heart broke into pieces. I thought freedom was finally within reach, but now all my plans meant nothing. The betrayal cut deeper than any pain they had ever caused me. With my voice shaking, I asked, "Why are you doing this to innocent people? What do you gain from being this cruel? We're human beings, not animals." They all burst out laughing, their voices echoing off the walls like demons celebrating. Then, without warning, a hard slap landed across my face, sending me stumbling backward. The sting burned and brought tears to my eyes. The man leaned close, his breath reeking of alcohol and cigarettes, and growled, "The next time you try to escape, I'll make sure you're sent straight back to your creator. You think you're special? You're nothing but merchandise to us." Ngozi sat right beside me, laughing too, unfazed by the violence. She didn't care about my suffering. She had always said I'd never make it out, and now her mocking laughter hurt even more than the slap itself. The men shifted their focus to the shaking guard. "And you let us down by helping one of our girls. Do you have any idea how tough it is to find them? The time, the money, the effort involved." The lead man's voice was eerily calm now, which somehow felt more unsettling than his earlier anger. "I'm really sorry, boss. Please just spare my life," the guard begged, dropping to his knees. "Please don't treat me like the others. I messed up. I promise I won't do it again." His frantic pleas echoed in the room, but the men's expressions remained unyielding, unaffected by his cries. The boss reached into his jacket and pulled out a gun, its metal shining in the dim light. He aimed it at the guard, who was now crying uncontrollably. "I gave you everything, money, protection, a good life. You had one job, earn my trust and keep these girls safe," the boss said, his tone chillingly calm. "And you let me down. You know I don't do second chances." The guard's sobs grew louder. "No, boss, please. Please, boss." But his words fell on deaf ears as the boss cocked the gun. The gunshot was deafening in the confined space. I watched in horror as the guard's body fell to the floor like a log of wood, lifeless and still. Blood began pooling beneath him, dark and accusing. In that moment, I truly understood that the dog's business was far more dangerous than I'd imagined. You could be sent to hell for the smallest mistake. The man turned to me, lighting a cigarette with steady hands, as if he hadn't just murdered someone. The smoke he blew in my face made me cough, but I dared not complain. "This is exactly what you can expect when you try to run again," he said, his voice empty of emotion. "From now on you will feed my dogs twice in the morning, same in the afternoon and evening. No food or water for you during punishment. This is what happens when you plan an escape." The other guards came minutes later and dragged the body away, leaving only the bloodstain as evidence. Ngozi laughed until she was breathless, telling me she knew I would fail. "The more you try to escape, the worse they'll treat you. Accept your fate," she advised coldly. Later on, I heard Chioma's familiar voice in the background. She had brought some new girls along. I could easily catch snippets of her chat with the guys through the thin walls. 2 girls? You only brought 2 girls? The boss's voice was getting a bit louder. I told you we need them by the end of the week. That's when the ritual is happening. But you've only managed to get 5 girls in total. I don't have time for excuses. Chioma sounded a bit nervous in her reply. Boss, please calm down. I'm doing my best here. I'm risking everything every day to earn the trust of more girls. It's not as easy as it used to be. People are starting to get suspicious. The boss responded, and I've paid you well for that risk. So you better keep pushing until you get the other 5 girls here before the week is up. I really don't want to get upset with you, Chioma. You know what happens when I get angry? The boss warned. Yes, boss, Chioma answered meekly. I heard her footsteps fade as she left, presumably to find more victims. The next day, she returned with 5 more girls. Seeing their innocent faces broke my heart. That Chioma is nothing but the devil incarnate. I whispered to Ngozi, who simply shrugged and reminded me that Chioma couldn't stop, even if she wanted to. By nightfall, they gathered all 10 of us together like cattle for slaughter. A large bus, resembling a school bus painted black, waited outside. They loaded us in roughly, treating us like cargo rather than human beings. My hands trembled as I climbed aboard, knowing this was it. They were taking us to wherever the ritual would happen. The other girls were crying softly, some praying, others simply staring into space already broken. As the bus engine roared to life, I realized this might be my last journey. The dogs had won, and we were on our way to a tough spot. This is what sleeping with dogs has led me to. The bus started moving, and all the girls began to cry while some regretted their choice to join in. A sense of fear filled the air as we realized there was no way to turn back from this situation. Some girls prayed quietly, others cried openly, and a few sat in stunned silence. The weight of our reality was heavy. We had traded our freedom for empty promises. I kicked myself for being so trusting, for believing Chioma's tales about easy money and a brighter future. The bus rolled on, taking us toward an uncertain fate that left us all feeling uneasy. We headed to the highway, and I thought maybe the police might try to search the bus and get them arrested. But the bus was not stopped by any police. It was like the men had business with the police too, because I couldn't understand why no police were stopping the bus. Every checkpoint we passed, the officers simply waved us through without inspection. Some even seemed to recognize the bus and looked away deliberately. The corruption ran deeper than I'd imagined. These men had connections everywhere, buying protection with blood money. Hope drained from me with each mile we traveled, realizing that even the law couldn't save us. The journey to wherever they were taking us was a long one. Exhaustion from fear and crying began to overtake me. My eyes grew heavy despite my terror, and I began to feel sleepy. In a matter of minutes, I fell asleep against the window. Dreams of home haunted me. My mother's face, my siblings' laughter, the simple life I'd abandoned for greed. I dreamed of freedom, of running through familiar streets, of being safe again. But even in sleep, I couldn't escape the nightmare. The bus's engine hummed steadily, carrying us further from everything we'd known, deeper into darkness and despair. While I was sleeping, I began to hear sounds and noises, vibrations from the bus that felt different. I woke up to a surprising scene. Some of the girls had made a break for it, darting into the nearby bushes. I was amazed at how they managed to pull it off, but I could see a few guards running after them. The bus had come to a stop, probably for gas or some kind of issue. This was our moment. My heart was racing as I took in the wild scene. Girls were sprinting in all directions, their chains clinking as they ran. The guards were yelling and cursing, trying to catch up with them. When I glanced to my left, I spotted Ngozi still sitting on the bus. She didn't even try to join the others. Even with the guards leaving the bus open to chase after the rest, she just sat there, looking almost amused by the whole situation. Ngozi, what are you doing? This is our big chance. We need to leave now before they find out, I begged, shaking Ngozi's arm desperately. But instead of moving, she just laughed, a cold, knowing laugh that sent chills down my spine. Don't go like the other girls, she said calmly, almost mocking me. You don't know these men. We can't escape them. Trust me, they'll catch the others and bring them back. Ist sie daher? Shocked. She sounded insane to me. We finally had a chance to escape, and she still refused to take it. Her hopelessness made me furious. Without another thought, I shot to my feet and bolted out of the bus, leaving Ngozi behind. I ran straight into the bush, my bare feet tearing against sharp stones and thorns. The forest was pitch dark, swallowing me whole, but I didn't care. Every sting, every cut was worth it. Freedom was worth any pain. Behind me, I heard chaos, guards shouting to each other, girls screaming as they were dragged back. My chest burned, but I pushed myself harder, forcing through branches that ripped at my skin and clothes. At last, I pressed myself against a huge tree, gasping for air, silently begging God not to let them find me. My heart pounded so loudly. I was certain it would give me away. For a moment, hope flickered. The shouts were fading. Maybe I was actually going to make it. Maybe freedom was real. Then I felt it, cold metal against my head. Don't move, a voice ordered. Strong hands yanked me up and dragged me back toward the bus. My hope crumbled. When we arrived, I saw the other girls too. Every single one of them caught. No escape, no rescue. The road was empty and silent. Nobody had seen a thing. They shoved us back inside the bus. Ngozi's eyes met mine, and instead of sympathy, she laughed again. How many times do I have to tell you? She sneered. You can't escape the dog's family. Just prepare your mind for the worst and stop trying. Her words cut deep. It hurt even more because deep down I knew she was right. We kept going until we finally reached where they were taking us. The place looked scary. The house was like a fortress, big, strong, and very old. The stones were covered with green moss, making it look abandoned, but the fresh car tracks showed that people used it often. It was clear that many victims had been brought here before us. The air itself felt heavy, like death was already inside the compound. They dragged us down from the bus and put chains on our hands. The chains were cold and heavy, biting our skin, making us look like slaves. They pushed us inside the house and locked us in a place that felt like both a cave and a prison. The walls were wet stone, and the floor had only dirty straw. That was when they explained what would happen. To them, we were not human beings. We were goods for sale. They said they would sell us to rich men who buy people for rituals. My whole body went cold as they talked about it like it was normal business. They said virgin girls, those who had never been touched by a man, were more valuable than the others. Buyers would pay higher for them. The rest of us were still for sale, but at a lower price. After saying that, they left us in the dark room to wait for men who would come and choose. Some girls cried and cried, while others were too weak and shocked to even speak. Time passed, but inside that windowless place, we couldn't tell if it was day or night. Then after some time, we heard footsteps coming closer. The door opened, and the first buyer entered. My heart almost stopped when I saw his face. I knew him. It was Chief Egu, a well-known rich man from my community. Everybody back home believed he was a successful businessman. But now the truth was clear. This was his real business. He was a ritualist. Gentlemen, here are the girls, one of the men told him. Pick anyone you like. My stomach turned with disgust. So this was how he made all his wealth, by buying humans like we were goods in the market. We huddled together in the darkness. And here are the girls. You can pick any one of your choice, the men said to Chief Egu. It made me sick how casual the whole thing was. They were selling us like animals. Chief Egu came up to our cage and looked us over one by one, like goods in a market. His eyes were cold and calculating. He didn't see people, just investments, for his dark practices. This one? I like this one, he said, pointing at one of the girls. She started screaming and begging, but her pleas meant nothing. Release her immediately. His men barked orders to their boys, and they obeyed without a pause. I watched them drag her away, knowing that was the end for her. Chief Egu was definitely going to use her for a ritual. Her screams echoed down the corridors long after she was gone. We were down to 9. This was exactly what that dog's business was really about. They lure you with money, then use you to make even more later. Now I saw the full horror of their operation. They were suppliers in a dark market for human sacrifice. Every rich person who came here had blood on their hands. Chioma will never know peace, I said through tears, cursing the woman who led us to this fate. Soon another buyer arrived and greeted the men like old friends. He was a pastor. I heard them call him Pastor. Does that mean some pastors are evildoers? The thought shattered what little faith I had left. After they whispered about prices and preferences, the pastor came to our side and looked at us one by one. Someone would be taken again, and it could be me. The way the man looked at us made my skin crawl. He was even wearing a pastor's collar. It felt like a joke in a place like this, full of evil. I started wondering how many people he had preached to while hiding this kind of wicked secret. In my mind, I just kept praying, God, please let him not choose me. But the way he was looking at me, I knew he was interested. My whole body was shaking as he walked closer to where I sat. I was afraid. Was this my own turn? Was I going to end up on some ritual altar, killed for someone else's gain? The pastor started moving his lips to talk, about to decide my fate. Time slowed down as I waited. One word from him and my life could be over. My prayers got stronger and stronger as I waited. Give me this one, the pastor finally said, pointing. I held my breath. But it was not me, it was the girl sitting behind me. I felt relief, but also deep sadness. The girl started crying immediately, because she knew it was finished for her. Her cry filled the room as she begged for mercy, but the pastor's face stayed hard, not moved at all. The rest of us tried to comfort her, but deep inside all of us knew there was nothing anybody could do. She was young, maybe 18, with dreams that would never come true. The pastor examined her like merchandise, nodding with satisfaction at his choice. I felt sick watching a supposed man of God participate in such evil. How many congregants had he deceived while living this double life of darkness? I cried on her behalf too, because she was so innocent and young. I knew she must have been just trying to survive when Chioma found her. Pastor, you made the right choice. I'm sure after you use her, your church will grow stronger and you will be able to perform more miracles, the dog owners said to the pastor, and they laughed. Their laughter was demonic, celebrating the profit from human suffering. The pastor smiled and handed over bundles of cash, blood money that would fund more kidnappings. They shook hands like business partners, sealing another soul's fate. The casualness of their evil transaction made me want to vomit. We watched them take another girl away. We became 8 in number. I was scared tomorrow might be my turn. The cage felt smaller with each girl they took. Night came and they brought us food to eat. I ate like someone who hadn't eaten for 8 years. I was so hungry that even the stale bread and watery soup tasted like a feast. My stomach had been empty for so long that it hurt to swallow. But I forced myself to eat, because I knew I needed strength for whatever was coming next. The other girls ate quietly, each one thinking about their homes and families we might never see again. After we finished eating, they made us entertain them. They told us to come dance for them. Sometimes, they even made 2 girls fight each other while they laughed and waited for the next buyer to come. They treated us worse than animals. They enjoyed seeing us suffer. At night, they gave me to their dogs again. The shame was too much to bear. But I learned that if I showed that I was weak, they would be even more cruel. So I kept going, holding on to a little hope that one day I might escape this nightmare. Every time they hurt me, it made me want to survive more. I wanted to expose these monsters. The next morning, another buyer came to take someone from the men. It looked like they had already planned everything with the buyers. But this time, the buyer chose someone important to me. He pointed at Ngozi. She was set free. I cried. But Ngozi told me not to cry. She said she was happy to meet me and that I would always stay in her heart, even if she died. Her calmness in facing death amazed me. She had accepted her fate long ago. But her words broke something inside me. I wished I could burst through the cage and save her. I watched them take her away, and the anger in me grew more intense. Quiet, everyone. Stop crying for others when the next buyer might come for you. Save those tears for yourself, the dog owner said to us. His cruelty knew no bounds. God will never forgive you for what you're doing to humans, I said to him, my voice shaking with rage. Haha, who cares? I only care about money and money alone. Now shut your mouth and wait for the next buyer to come, he replied. His words confirmed what I already knew. These men had sold their souls long ago. They were demons in human form, feeding on misery and death. Nothing mattered to them except profit. They kept selling us one by one to buyers, and I wondered when my time would come. Each day brought new buyers, new partings, new tears.
That night, I dreamed about my late parents. In my dream, they looked upset with me. They were not happy with what I had become. Their faces showed sadness and disappointment. I tried to ask them to save me, but they disappeared like smoke. When I woke up, I knew even my late parents were angry with me. The guilt weighed on me heavier than any pain I had felt. I had not honored their memory. I chose greed instead of dignity. Tears soaked my dirty clothes as I cried for my lost innocence. Now, only 3 girls were left with the men. Another buyer was coming to take one of us away again. The dog owners were throwing a party, celebrating the money they made from innocent people. The loud music and their laughter felt like a mockery of our pain. They drank expensive wine bought with blood money while we stayed packed together in the cage like animals. Then, the next buyer came. He stared at us for about 5 minutes, looking carefully at each one of us. Then he pointed and said, "I like this girl." He was pointing right at me. My blood turned to ice. This was it, my turn had come. "Please, don't take me," I begged with everything I had. But the men just laughed at how desperate I was. "This girl is one of the most expensive we have here," the dog owner said. "Are you sure you can pay the price?" The buyer looked at me again, studying me closely. "She looks expensive. That means she's going to make me more money if I use her for something good," the man said as he stared at me. My heart was racing like never before. The word use echoed in my mind. What horrible fate awaited me. "Release her," they commanded, and the cage door opened. I walked out sadly as they handed me over to the man who had paid my price. This was the end of the road for me. "She must be really good for my ritual," the buyer said. And the other men laughed with him. But something was different about this man. He didn't look like someone who could harm anyone. Immediately after we left the mansion, he began to act nice. His demeanor completely changed once we were away from the dog owners. "Are you really going to use me for ritual?" I asked him, my hands still tied. He looked at me but didn't answer. We drove far from the mansion. I thought he was taking me to a bush or native doctor, but he didn't. Instead, he was taking me to a well-modernized place, a city. The scenery changed from dark forests to bright street lights. He took me to his house and removed the chains from my hands. He put me in a clean room and gave me plenty of food. I sat there, still not understanding why he was acting so nice. He came back later with new clothes. "Wear these. I got them from the store for you. They should look good on you," the man said kindly. "Why are you being nice? Even though you're still going to use me for something bad?" I asked, confused by his behavior. That night, I thought about everything I had been through. I thought about Ngozi, the girl I met at the doghouse. I knew she was probably dead by now. The thought of her sacrifice stayed with me like a shadow. Later, a man came into the room wearing only a towel. At first, I thought he wanted to sleep with me. By that time, I wasn't even scared anymore. I thought a man was better than those dogs. But he didn't touch me. He just came to give me a message. "I'm going to take my bath now. Please don't try to escape. I won't hurt you. I will explain everything when I come back," he said, then left. After a while, he came back fully dressed and sat me down. "You're free now. No more fear," he said. It felt like a dream. Did he just set me free, or was I still dreaming? "I thought you brought me here for a purpose, but you just tell me I'm free?" I said, still not believing. He smiled and said, "I'm not that kind of bad person. I'm just doing my job." "What job?" I asked, not understanding. "A lady called Chioma. She paid me money to act like a buyer. She showed me your picture and told me to buy you and bring you home," he explained. "Chioma? Chioma paid you to bring me back?" I couldn't believe my ears. "Yes, she did," he confirmed. "The same Chioma who took you to them." My head was spinning. No, you don't get it. She couldn't watch you die, he said softly. I stayed quiet for a moment. Maybe Chioma wasn't as bad as I thought. Then the door opened, and Chioma came inside. She looked tired, full of guilt, but also relieved to see me alive and safe. Tears were in her eyes. I'm sorry I brought you into this. I couldn't watch you die, so I used my last savings to pay for your price and bring you back. I had to pay someone else to do it because I still work for the dog owners, Chioma said. I just stood there, not knowing what to say. The woman who ruined my life also saved it. I ran to her and hugged her because she saved me. She had given everything she had just to bring me back. Amaka, trust me, I don't like the work I do for the dog owners. I hate seeing innocent people die, but I have no choice. If I stop, they will find me, Chioma said with tears. I could see in her eyes how scared and helpless she was. She was doing all this only because she was scared of them. The dog owners had trapped her just like they trapped their victims. So, I suggested something. What if she exposed them and got them arrested? She told me the men worked with the police. They couldn't get arrested because of bribery. The corruption ran too deep. Many more would enter their trap if we didn't stop them. We needed to find a way to expose them and bring an end to the dog business. So, we began thinking of a better way. Day and night, we didn't sleep. This time, Chioma was ready to do anything to finish these men who had trapped both of us. After thinking and planning for long, we only found one solution that could work. Chioma would have to go live on TV and tell the whole world about their business. Only if the public knew could we beat the police connections they had. But that also meant Chioma would pay for her own wrongs because she was the one who brought all the girls to the men. She would face the punishment with the dog owners. The weight of this decision was heavy on both of us. One night, I asked her, "Are you ready to do this? Are you ready to turn yourself in and tell the world about these men?" She looked at me with a strong determination I had never seen before. She said that just turning herself in was not enough. As long as those men were alive, they would always want revenge. We needed to make sure their whole network was destroyed and exposed. The risk was huge. We could both be killed even before we reached the TV station. But we had no choice. Too many innocent girls would suffer if we remained silent. We began planning carefully, knowing that one mistake would cost us our lives. This was bigger than just our survival now. It was about justice for all the girls who had died and protection for those who might be next. The war against the dogs was about to begin. Chioma said she was going to act like she was still working with them and use that opportunity to poison them all. After that, she could turn herself into the authorities. It was a dangerous plan, but it seemed like the only way to stop the horror once and for all. This is a great idea, but you need to be careful. If you're caught, they will never forgive you, I told Chioma, and she promised to act carefully. We both knew the stakes. One mistake would mean torture and death. But Chioma had made up her mind. She was tired of being their puppet, tired of leading innocent girls to their doom. This was her chance for redemption, even if it cost her everything. So Chioma went ahead with her plan. She went back to the dog's house, acting exactly as she always did, loyal, efficient, and eager to please. Immediately when they saw her, they welcomed her with open arms. Chioma, we could have never done this without you. Thank you for the girls you brought. We sold them all as planned, the boss said, counting money at his desk. Thank you, boss, Chioma said and faked a smile. Her heart was pounding, but she kept her expression neutral. Her true intention was different from what they thought. She wanted to finish them all. Every smile, every pleasant word was a design to lower their guard. She had become an expert at deception. And now she would use it against them. Then she came up with her plan. Boss, I think this calls for a celebration. Maybe we should throw a party, cook food, and drink to our success, Chioma suggested, trying to sound enthusiastic about their blood, money. The men looked at her suspiciously. At first, she thought they suspected something because of how intently they were staring at her. Her heart nearly stopped as she waited for their response. Had she been too eager, too different from her usual demeanor? But then, their suspicion melted into greed. A celebration party? That's a good idea, Chioma. The money was too much. They said, we need to party, and laughed, already imagining the big celebration. Their arrogance would be their own downfall. Thank you for listening, Chioma said, smiling for the first time with real feeling. This was her only way to poison them all at once. One of the men started to say, I will make the plans for the party, get cooks, bring drinks, as he reached for his phone. But Chioma quickly stopped him. No, sir, I will do it myself. Yes, I want to cook, she said eagerly. The men looked surprised. Suddenly, Chioma wanted to cook for the party. They looked at each other, clearly puzzled by how excited she was. Don't worry, Chioma. You are too important for that. We will get a cook. Just sit down and relax. Remember, you still need to find girls for us, the men told her. But Chioma kept pushing. She knew this was her only chance. She had to be the one to prepare the food, or her plan would fail before it even started. No, boss. I want to cook myself. Remember, I'm a lady too. Please, I just want you all to taste my food once. Just try it, please, she begged, giving them the sweetest smile she could. She used their sexist thoughts against them, making them think she just wanted to show she could cook like a proper woman. The men talked among themselves and finally said it would be funny to have their female partner cook for the party. It would be amusing to see her take on a traditional role. Okay, that's fine. You can cook, they said, waving her off without much care. They had no idea they had just signed their own death warrants. Their casual dismissal of her, as just a woman, would be the very thing that destroyed them. Pride comes before a fall, and theirs would be spectacular. Immediately when Chioma heard their approval, she was overjoyed inside, although she kept her expression humble and grateful. Now she could send them all to hell at once and end everything about the dog business forever. So Chioma went back to her home, happy but nervous, and began to plan the meal. She decided she would cook at the big mansion so they would trust her more. Everything had to look normal. She called me and told me that the dog owners agreed to throw a party, and even agreed to let her cook the food. Her voice shook with both excitement and fear. I told her, please be careful. This is the most dangerous thing you've ever done. If you make any mistake, both of us are finished. The day of the party came quicker than we thought. Chioma started cooking while the man and their boys stayed in the parlor, drinking and dancing to loud music. She could hear them laughing and saying all sorts of things from the kitchen. Today, this dog business will end forever. No more fear, no more worry, Chioma whispered to herself as she cooked. Her hands were shaking, but she made sure the food looked and smelled nice. The sweet smell filled the kitchen and covered the smell of what she was about to add to the food. As she cooked, Chioma remembered all the girls who had died there, all the families that suffered because of these men. She felt stronger. To her, this was justice, not killing. The food. Chioma, hurry with the food, oh, the men shouted, their voices loud from the sitting room. They were getting impatient, very drunk and happy over their money from evil. I'm coming. Just small time and I'll finish, Chioma answered, forcing herself to sound happy and relaxed. Now it was time. She reached into her bag and brought out the small bottle of poison. Her hand shook as she opened it. She poured the poison inside the big pot of stew and stirred well. The clear liquid disappeared completely into the thick soup. Now, you will know what other people have been going through, she said in a low voice, thinking of all their victims. She served the food well, put it on trays to look fine and inviting. Then she carried the dishes out to the men in the dining room. Their eyes brightened when they saw her coming with hot food. The food has come, oh, one shouted, and they all smiled, ready to eat. Their evil money had made them too happy and careless. They didn't suspect anything. Chioma placed all the food on the table, putting each plate nicely. Her heart was beating fast as she watched them get ready to eat. "Enjoy your meal, sirs," she said in a sweet voice and left the dining room. She forced herself to walk out slowly, even though she wanted to run. She went back to the kitchen and stood there, her heart pounding. This was the moment. If they all ate together, the nightmare would end. If not, and they caught her, it would be the end for her too. From the kitchen, she could still hear them laughing and eating loudly as they began to eat. The sound of spoons and plates was loud, almost like thunder to Chioma. Every second felt like forever as she waited for the poison to work. Would it work? Was it too much or too small? Her palms were wet with sweat. Very soon, she would know if what she tried had succeeded. So many lives, even people she didn't know, were depending on this one meal. Justice was about to happen. Chioma waited, her heart jumping in her chest with every second. But then they called her over and told her to taste the food first. "Taste it. We trust you, Chioma. We just want to be sure it's good," one said, his eyes watching her carefully. Her blood ran cold. This was not part of the plan. She had to think quickly. "That's fine. If I were you, I would do the same," Chioma replied, forcing herself to sound casual and understanding. She had to act completely normal or they would become suspicious. She took a spoon, scooped some of the poisoned food, and put it in her mouth. The food she had poisoned herself now sat on her tongue, deadly and bitter. She chewed the food in front of the men, making sure they could see her jaw moving, then pretended to swallow while actually keeping it tucked in her cheek. Her acting had to be perfect. One wrong move and they would know. The men watched her closely, looking for any sign of hesitation or fear. Then they all laughed with relief. "Let's eat," one shouted, and they rushed toward the food like hungry wolves. Some started with the meat while others piled their plates high with rice and stew. The atmosphere changed from suspicion to celebration in seconds. They ate greedily, commenting on how delicious everything tasted, completely unaware they were consuming their last meal. Chioma felt a mix of relief and horror watching them feast on death. Chioma sneaked away quietly and hid behind a wall where she could observe them without being seen. She was staring at them intently, watching to make sure they were all eating the poisoned food. Everything was going according to plan. The men were laughing, eating, and drinking without any suspicion. Their guard was completely down. But then her eyes caught something that made her heart sink. One of the men was not eating. He was just sitting at the table, looking at the others with a strange expression on his face. He hadn't touched his plate at all. This was bad. Very bad. If even one of them survived, he could identify her and continue the evil business. Chioma's plan now had a big problem. Fear gripped her, but she knew she had to act normal. She walked up to the man, forcing her voice to sound friendly. "Sir, you don't like the food? I made it very tasty. Should I bring another type for you?" Chioma asked, smiling and pretending to care. Inside, she was panicking. This man could spoil everything. "Chioma, I love the food, it looks really good. But I'll eat later." "I don't feel like eating now," the man said. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed he was not fully comfortable. Something about how he said it made Chioma worried. Did he suspect anything? Was he always careful, or did she make a mistake? She couldn't force him to eat. If she tried, it would just make things worse and suspicious. As Chioma walked away, she knew things were not going as she planned. If that man didn't eat and survived, Big Walla would follow. He would know she poisoned the others and would come after her for revenge. The dog business wouldn't end if he escaped, it had to be finished completely. But Chioma refused to panic. She hoped maybe he would eat later, before the poison started working on the others. Maybe hunger or seeing others eating would make him join. She put enough poison so that it would work slowly, to give her time to escape. Now, all she could do was wait and hope greed or hunger would win over his suspicion. Every minute felt like an hour as Chioma waited for her chance to run. She went back to the kitchen, pretending to clean and prepare dessert. Her hands shook as she quietly gathered her few belongings. Then she escaped from the building through the back door, moving as silently as a shadow. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure someone would hear it. She didn't run immediately, that would look suspicious to anyone watching. Instead, she walked calmly to the gate, smiled at the security guard like nothing was wrong, and left the compound. Only when she was several blocks away did she allow herself to move faster. She hoped all the men would die after eating the poisoned food, including the one who had hesitated. Maybe he would eat out of curiosity once she was gone. At that very moment, she left the state without looking back. She took the first bus she could find, not caring where it went as long as it was far away. She traveled back to the place where Amaka was waiting for her, her heart heavy with both relief and uncertainty. The journey seemed endless, every police siren making her jump, every strange look from fellow passengers making her paranoid. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, all the men began feeling strange after eating the food. First came the stomach pains, then the dizziness. In a few minutes, they all fell down and died, their bodies convulsing as the poison did its work. The party had become a funeral. Except for one man, he hadn't trusted the idea of Chioma cooking, so he never tasted the food. She betrayed us. She will pay for this, he said, standing among the dead bodies of his associates. His face was twisted with rage as he surveyed the carnage. Chioma had made a deadly enemy. What Chioma didn't know was that all the men she poisoned were just the foot soldiers of the dog business. She never knew that those men were merely the bottom tier, the ones who did the dirty work. The main men were called the higher level men, and they worked internationally. These were the real monsters, the people controlling everything from the background. Any money the small boys made was sent up to these top men. They were far more dangerous, with connections in government, police, and criminal gangs all over Africa. They had power and reach that Chioma couldn't even imagine. So, the only man who survived the food poisoning quickly called the higher-up men and told them what happened. His hands were shaking as he made the call. He knew these people don't accept failure. One of us betrayed us. Everything and everyone here is finished. She poisoned our food. Only me survived because I didn't eat, he said, his voice trembling. There was silence on the other end, more scary than any threat. Then, there was laughter. Cold, wicked laughter. Haha. Are you new at this job? Nobody crosses the dog business and gets away with it. We will find her soon, the big boss said from the other side. The survivor felt a mix of relief and fear. He knew they would get their revenge, but he had also failed his bosses. Meanwhile, Chioma went to see Amaka, very happy and not knowing trouble was coming. She told Amaka that her plan worked, and all the men had eaten the poisoned food. They must be dead by now, she said, a mix of victory and tiredness in her voice. For the first time in a very long time, she felt free. If all the men are gone, there's no need to go to the police again. We can just be free and live our lives. The police might even think those men fought and killed each other, Chioma said. Amaka suggested hopefully. It seemed too good to be true. Could they really just walk away from this nightmare? So, they decided to travel far to another state and start afresh, believing their ordeal was finally over. They packed quickly, taking only essentials, ready to disappear and become new people with new lives. But they had no idea that skilled men were already watching them and preparing to strike. These men had been sent by the higher-level bosses and were professionals at tracking down targets. The men chasing them had plenty money, connections, and even technology, making it almost impossible to hide from them. Even as Chioma and Amaka tried to start a new life, talking about changing their names and dreaming about a fresh beginning, danger was already closing in on them. These high-level men had their people everywhere, in hotels, bus stations, airports, even among the police. Anytime Chioma and Amaka made a move, someone reported back to the group. The dog business survived all Chioma's tries to stop them, and now they were looking for revenge. The real trouble was just starting, and this time there would be no mercy, no escape. The hunters were now the ones being hunted. Amaka and Chioma planned carefully. They checked bus and train routes, looking for the safest way to leave the state without anyone noticing. But they soon noticed that some strange men seemed to be following them everywhere. Men in dark clothes kept popping up at every place they went, always from a distance, but their eyes never left Amaka and Chioma. They kept seeing the same black car at different times, and even the same motorcycle parked outside places they visited. It was happening too often to just be by chance. Fear began to eat them up. Was it the same men from the dog business? How did they find them so fast? Everywhere started to look dangerous. Everyone looked like a suspect. They became very alert and decided to find another safe place to stay before trying to travel again. The bus station and airport were now too risky, they could be watched. Hotels too were not safe because you needed ID and there were always cameras. Chioma and Amaka walked deep into one poor part of town, hoping to blend in where strangers would stand out. There, they saw an old man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. His small house was in a quiet corner where any new face would quickly be noticed. They decided to hide at his place, reasoning that it would be less likely to be found than a better apartment with proper registration. But the old man asked them what their crime was and why they were hiding. His question was direct but not unkind. The curiosity of someone who had seen enough of life to know when people were in real trouble. Amaka and Chioma exchanged glances, silently debating how much to reveal. They decided to tell him the real truth, hoping maybe he would feel sorry for them and genuinely help. So Chioma told the old man everything that happened about the dog business. The trafficking, the poisoning, and how some dangerous men were now looking for them. She spoke with tears in her eyes, reliving the horror of what she had been part of and what she had done to escape it. The old man listened quietly, his expression unreadable, occasionally nodding as if he understood more than he should. Well, Chioma was not aware that the old man, Mr. Okon, was once a friend of the higher-level men. Years ago, he had done some terrible tasks for them, helping them launder money and forge documents. Though he had left that life behind, he still knew exactly how to contact them. The criminal world never really lets you go. It just waits for the right moment to pull you back in. I'm sorry about your experience with those men. You are safe here with me now. They won't find you for the time being, the old man said, his voice soothing and grandfatherly. But behind his kind eyes, calculations were already beginning. He knew what kind of people were hunting these women, and he knew what they did to those who harbored their enemies. But then he thought about what he would gain if he showed the men where Chioma was staying. He would be paid a huge sum of money just for that information, enough to change his life completely. As he went to his room, he thought about it carefully. Should he call the men or let Chioma and Amaka go free? He thought about the poor life he was currently living, surviving on a meager pension in this rundown house. That information could make him rich again, could restore the comfortable life he once had. He wrestled with his conscience, but poverty has a way of eroding principles. The memory of better days, and the promise of their return began to outweigh his sympathy for the desperate women sleeping under his roof. Greed, that old familiar friend, whispered sweet promises in his ear. So while Chioma and Amaka were sleeping, exhausted from their ordeal, and finally feeling safe, he took out his phone and searched for the contact until he found one. His hands trembled slightly, not from guilt, but from excitement at the prospect of wealth. He put the phone to his ear and spoke in a low voice, not wanting to wake his guests, who would soon become victims. I know you are looking for someone. Someone who betrayed you, he said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. There was a pause on the other end. Then recognition. Mr. Okon, tell us what this thing is you are saying? The men asked, their interest clearly piqued. They remembered him once. Useful. Always potentially useful. The criminal network never forgets its assets, even the retired ones. I know where Chioma's staying. The lady who betrayed the group and ran away. I can show you if you pay me some money, he said, getting straight to the point. Business was business after all. There was laughter on the other end, cold and amused. Haha, Mr. Okon, you know our past business has always been so much fun. So tell me how much. And tell me where that fool is staying. I need to get her. No one dares cross the dog business, the voice said with deadly certainty. So the old man named his price high enough to set him up for life. Low enough that they wouldn't hesitate. Then he told them exactly where Chioma was staying. In my house. They are hiding in my house right now, sleeping like babies, he added, sealing their fate with those simple words. The higher-level men sent their boys immediately, giving them strict instructions to bring Chioma and the girl back alive. Death would be too easy. They had special plans for traitors. The team dispatched was professional, experienced in extraction, and trained to handle any resistance. Meanwhile, Chioma was sleeping peacefully with Amaka, not knowing that the old man had already betrayed them. They had finally allowed themselves to relax, to believe they had found sanctuary. Their guard was down, their bodies exhausted from days of running and hiding. In their dreams, they were free, starting new lives in a distant place where the dog business couldn't reach them. But nightmares have a way of invading even the sweetest dreams. And theirs was approaching fast in the form of armed men who knew exactly where to find them. But before the boys arrived, Amaka woke up from a disturbing dream. Her subconscious had sensed danger even while her conscious mind slept. Her heart was racing though she couldn't remember what she had dreamed about. Then she heard footsteps outside. Too many to be normal, too coordinated to be casual. She looked through the window carefully, peering through a gap in the curtains, and saw some boys approaching the building. They moved with military precision, surrounding the house to cut off all escape routes. Her blood turned to ice as she recognized the deadly intent in their movements. She rushed to wake Chioma up, shaking her roughly. "They found us," she whispered urgently. "They're here. What are we going to do?" The terror in her voice was enough to snap to Chioma fully awake. Run as fast as you can. "I will fight and save myself," Chioma said, already knowing their chances were slim. She had brought this on them, and she wouldn't let Amaka pay for her choices. "No, I can't leave you. I can't go alone," Amaka protested, tears streaming down her face. The thought of abandoning the woman who had saved her life was unbearable. "You need to run. There is no time. We will meet again. I promise," Chioma said, pushing Amaka toward the back door. She knew it was probably a lie, but hope was all she could offer now. And so Amaka escaped the building seconds before the boys entered, running into the darkness with tears blinding her vision. While Chioma stayed back to fight them, to buy precious time for Amaka to run far, she grabbed a kitchen knife, knowing it was futile against armed men, but refusing to go down without a fight. The sound of the front door crashing open told her that her time had come. She stood ready to face whatever horror awaited her, praying only that Amaka would get far enough away to survive. The old man watched from his room, counting the money he would soon receive, trying not to think about what would happen to the woman who had trusted him. In the distance, Amaka ran through the dark streets, her heart breaking with each step that took her further from her friend. Behind her, the sounds of struggle echoed through the night. Chioma's brave last stand against impossible odds. The dog business had found them, and now there would be hell to pay. The only question was whether Amaka could run fast enough to escape the same fate that was surely befalling Chioma at that very moment. Chioma waited patiently for them to enter, her body coiled like a spring, ready to release. When they burst through the door, she used her past skills from years of surviving on the streets to fight them off. She moved with desperate precision, using the knife to keep them at bay while looking for an opening. Her movements were quick and unpredictable, born from a lifetime of dangerous situations. She managed to slash one attacker's arm and dodge another's grasp, using the small house's furniture as obstacles. In the confusion of the fight, she spotted her chance and bolted through the back door, escaping into the thick nearby bush. The darkness of the forest swallowed her immediately, branches tearing at her clothes as she ran deeper into the wilderness, her heart pounding with adrenaline and fear. The boys went after both girls relentlessly, making sure they could catch them because they had been told never to return without them. Failure meant death in their organization. And the higher-level men didn't tolerate incompetence. They split into two groups, some chasing Chioma's path into the forest while others pursued Amaka through the winding streets. Their training showed in their coordinated movements using hand signals and staying in constant communication. They knew these areas well, having hunted many victims through these same paths before. The night was filled with the sounds of pursuit, barking dogs, shouting voices, and the crash of bodies through undergrowth. The boys were motivated by both the promise of reward and the fear of punishment, making them more dangerous than any wild animal in those dark woods. So during this intense chase, Amaka and Chioma got separated, each running in different directions to split their pursuers. Amaka had to run alone through the forest, her feet stumbling over roots and rocks in the darkness. She was a city girl, not used to navigating through wild terrain, and every shadow seemed to hide a threat. She searched desperately for a place where she could stay hidden and pass the night, hoping daylight would bring new opportunities for escape. But no matter how hard she tried to evade them, the boys were too fast and too experienced. While Amaka was captured, Chioma managed to escape deeper into the bush. She found her way to a village where she hid among people she didn't know. Chioma was more streetwise than Amaka. She had survived on the streets before joining the dog business. She knew how to quickly change her looks, mix in with the crowd, and tell convincing lies about who she was. She joined some market women traveling to another town, pretending to be a stranded traveler. Her smartness and experience helped her escape the bush without getting caught. But even as she ran for her life, her heart felt heavy knowing Amaka was still out there, maybe captured or worse. Guilt was eating her inside, but she focused on surviving. When Amaka woke up, everything was spinning and blurry. She found herself sitting in a prison, much bigger than the earlier one, with many girls locked up in all kinds of cages and cells. The smell was terrible, sweat, fear, and human waste mixed together in the hot air. This place was like a factory of suffering, built to punish people on a large scale. Amaka cried seriously when she realized they had brought her back to the dog's house, but this one was different and even worse. All her hope and dream of freedom was gone, shattered like glass. She had nearly escaped. She had tasted freedom, only to have it snatched away. This time, she knew there would be no way out. Security was tight, armed guards everywhere, electric wire fences, and cameras. This place was nothing like the first mansion. This was the real base, the headquarters of the dog business. Here, the real bosses managed kidnapping, trafficking, and killing across many countries. The compound was huge, with different buildings for each evil thing they did. Amaka saw girls tied on the ground like animals waiting for slaughter. Others were locked up in cages so small they couldn't even stand or lie down. New victims were brought in all the time. A steady flow of human pain and suffering. Only now did Amaka realize, the men Chioma poisoned were just the small boys. Here were the truly wicked ones, the architects of all this evil. Soon, some boys came and dragged Amaka out of her cell roughly, not caring if she was hurt or tired. They took her through long corridors lined with cells containing other victims, their eyes dead with despair. Finally, they brought her to the leader, a massive man who was always holding a big cigarette that filled the room with acid smoke. His presence was terrifying, cold eyes that had seen countless deaths, expensive clothes that spoke of wealth built on suffering, and an aura of absolute power. He looked at Amaka like she was less than human, just another product in his business. Without any warning or words, they first handed her over to their dogs, bigger and hungrier than any dogs she had encountered before. These were beasts trained specifically for torture. Their natural instincts perverted into tools of human cruelty. The dogs did with her as they wanted, while she cried like a baby, the men watching her with anger and amusement. The humiliation was beyond anything she had experienced before. These animals were trained to violate and traumatize, to break the human spirit in ways that physical torture alone could not achieve. The men laughed and made crude comments, treating her suffering as entertainment. They started asking her questions about Chioma while all the terrible things were still happening, showing no mercy or any respect for her as a human being. "Where is your friend hiding? Where is Chioma? She poisoned all my men. Where is she?" The leader demanded loudly, his voice cutting through her screams. But Amaka couldn't even answer because the dogs were still attacking her. She could barely speak or hold herself together from the pain and fear. After what felt like many hours but was only 30 minutes, they finally stopped the dogs and pulled them away. By that time, Amaka was so tired she could barely stay awake. When the dogs stopped, she fell to the floor, her body shaking from trauma and pure exhaustion. Every part of her body hurt, but the damage in her mind was even worse. She felt broken, like she could never be fixed again. "Haha, look at her," the leader laughed. "This is just the start. I think my dogs really enjoyed this." He blew smoke in her face, making her suffering worse. "Please, I need food or water," Amaka begged quietly, her voice very weak. Her throat was dry, her stomach empty, and her body had no strength left. She was ready to beg for anything. But they all laughed at her, mocking her, and making jokes about how bad she looked. They dragged her back to the prison cell like she was just trash, her legs too weak to walk by themselves. Hours later, they brought her a small piece of bread and a cup of dirty water. She didn't want to eat or drink because she knew it might be poisoned or drugged, but she had no choice. She was so hungry and thirsty. While forcing down the stale bread, she thought about the cruel truth of her life. She had hoped to start fresh, to have a new life and freedom, but instead, she was starting over again, trapped with the dogs. This time, with even tighter security and even crueler people around her. There would be no escape for her. Hope, that dangerous emotion, finally died in her heart. Meanwhile, Chioma was still on the run, and the boys would not stop searching for her until they brought her back to face punishment. The higher level men had put a huge bounty on her head, making every stranger a potential threat. She moved from town to town like a ghost, never staying in one place for more than a day. The constant fear was exhausting. Every police siren made her heart race. Every unexpected knock sent her into panic. She slept in abandoned buildings, market stalls, and sometimes in the bush, always with one eye open. The boys hunting her were professionals who knew how to track people, using informants, technology, and bribes to follow her trail. She had to stay 3 steps ahead, constantly changing her appearance and route. This wasn't just a chase anymore. It was a deadly game of survival where one mistake meant torture and death. Chioma made sure she trusted absolutely no one because anyone might be working with the higher level men. Their network was vast and their money could buy anyone's loyalty. She had learned this lesson the hard way with the old man who betrayed them. Even kind-looking grandmothers or helpful young men could be informants eager for the reward money. She avoided making eye contact, kept conversations minimal, and never revealed anything true about herself. When forced to interact with people, she created elaborate false identities and backstories. Paranoia became her constant companion, but it kept her alive. She couldn't afford to let her guard down, even for a moment. Chioma felt very lonely, but she knew being alone was better than getting caught. Anybody she met on the road could be an enemy. She could not trust anybody at all. Because of this, she started changing the way she looked. She cut her hair, dyed it, even changed how she walked, and tried to talk in a new way. But even while hiding herself, she was always thinking about Amaka. The guilt of leaving Amaka behind was always in her heart, day and night. She could not rest. She thought maybe Amaka was still hiding somewhere inside that bush where they got separated, so she decided to go back there, even though it was very risky. She searched for hours, calling Amaka's name softly, and looked under every big tree, inside caves, and near every small stream, hoping to see her friend. The bush was very big and full of danger, bad people and wild animals. Chioma kept searching, but everywhere was empty except for the noise of birds and insects. Amaka was nowhere to be found, and Chioma felt more and more worried as time passed. Then, after searching for a long time, she saw something on the ground that made her whole body freeze. There were footprints in the soft sand. One set looked just like Amaka's, the size and the shoe print matched. But there were also many other footprints from men, heavy boots. From the tracks, Chioma could tell that those men had chased Amaka and caught her there. There were signs that someone had struggled, their branches were broken, and the ground was scattered everywhere. That was when she knew for sure, those men had caught Amaka. The proof was just too clear. Her heart broke and she stood in the bush, crying, not sure what to do. Part of her wanted to just run away from the city, to leave Amaka with those wicked men, so she would not get herself killed too. Safety was telling her to run for her life. But another part, the part that still cared, was ready to risk everything to help Amaka. She left the forest slowly, her mind turning and thinking of what to do. How could just one woman rescue Amaka from these strong, dangerous men? It didn't sound real, more like a story from a film than real life. She didn't have a weapon, nobody to help her, not even fighting skills, except for her street sense. What hurt even more was that she didn't even know where they had taken Amaka. Those men had many places, different houses and compounds far apart. Amaka could be anywhere, even far away from the city. It all looked impossible. But Chioma could not stop seeing Amaka's face in her mind. She was the one who brought Amaka into trouble. Didn't she have to try and save her? The guilt and feeling of responsibility didn't let her rest. Chioma made up her mind she would try to rescue Amaka, even if it cost her her own life.